Hello and welcome to our Facebook Live broadcast on this first Wednesday in June. It's still technically spring according to the calendar, but summer is definitely either here, depending if you're someplace warm. You've probably been in summer temperatures for the last couple of weeks, or if you are like us in Wisconsin, summer is finally starting to show its face. It's been kind of rainy and cold here, and it's starting to warm up. A lot of kids are out of school, and kids are, done with college for the year. So there is definitely more time. Sorry about that little network issue again, but hopefully that was the only one. So like I was saying, summer is kind of here for a lot of people. If not here now, we'll be here within the next couple of weeks. Real true summer where it gets really hot and warm and you want to spend all your time outside. So that also means that a lot of kids are done with school and, people are home from college. So there's lots of time for family activities, barbecues, and, hikes and canoeing and all those fun summer activities, which also means there is more time in the garden. The days are getting longer. So you have until, potentially 9 o'clock to be out in your garden planting, which is really nice for after work. You can get home and, plant some things. I know I potted up all my planters the other day, and it was really nice to have them all ready to go, waiting for the hummingbirds and all that stuff to come to my yard. So since we are in summer and are getting into summer from spring, I want to talk to you guys about our $5 deals that are part of our spring into summer category. So we have 30 brand new items on the website that are all only $5 each. So that's a really great value. You can get a lot of flowers in your garden if you buy multiples of these products, or even just one package can go a long way to have some additional flowers. So I'm going to show you a couple of the deals we have, but I encourage you to visit our website, hollandbulbfarms.com, and check out on the spring bulbs menu. There is a category called $5 spring into summer deals. I also think there's a promotion on our Facebook page that you can get to that category from as well. So if you want to look at all the 30 plus items, and we might be adding a couple additional collections this week that have some other like seed related items too, so that's kind of exciting. But for now, there's at least over 30 items for you to choose from. If you are looking to add new perennials or bulbs to your garden, you want to get some, fill in some spots here and there, this is a great way. If you're new to gardening, you don't know what you're doing, and you aren't sure you want to invest a lot because you might, not be able to grow everything, this is a really good way to kind of test out some plants in your garden. Even if you are experienced and there's something in the category that you've never grown before, great way to test out something, because it's really, really great deals. So before we talk about the deer in your garden, we're going to talk about these couple $5 deals I brought on. So we have a package of Liatris. There are 12 bulbs. They are a mix of purple and white. So Liatris is a really nice native perennial that blooms mid to late summer, gets tall spikes of purple or white flowers. They're great for butterflies. They are great for cut flowers, full sun. They're drought tolerant. They grow in most zones, hardiness zones 3 to 8. So big range of people can grow these Liatris. So only $5, you can have 12 bulbs, which will form a nice clump in your yard. So that's one of the deals. Next deal is kind of a unique, it's called Crocosmia. The variety is Lucifer. It is a red flowering bulb that is related to the gladiolus. It's in that same family, so the leaves are very similar to a gladiolus, kind of big, wide, grassy, tall leaves, and then these red flowers that come, great for attracting hummingbirds, bloom in midsummer. I believe hardiness zones 5 to 8, so The colder climates aren't going to be able to grow the Crocosmia as a perennial, but they could definitely check it out as an annual. And most other climates will be able to grow these red flowering bulbs. So Crocosmia, I think you get 10 bulbs for $5. Another super great deal. Next, these are really unique. I don't personally have a lot of experience with these. They are called pink fairy lilies. I love the name because I love fairies and forests and whimsical things like that. My mom just actually ordered some of these this morning, so I will get an update from her as to how well these grow in her garden and everything. So yeah, it's like a low growing bulb. I believe they're native to the Caribbean, so definitely a more warm weather bulb, but people even in colder climates can grow them as an annual. So again, 25 bulbs in here, $5. Great deal. The last two things I'm pretty excited about. One of them is Lily of the Valley, which I have Lily of the Valley in my backyard, and their fragrance right now is amazing. It's been breezy the last couple days. I've been hanging out in the backyard with my dogs, just enjoying the sweet scent of the Lily of the Valley coming my way. They're great for shade. They are a ground cover. So if you're going to plant the Lily of the Valley, you want to make sure that you have room for these to spread out, because they do continue to spread. So either have them in an area where they have like a barrier, like a sidewalk or a walkway where they can't grow beyond that, or under a tree where it's okay that they're covering the area. But that is one thing to note about the Lily of the Valley, is they definitely are a ground cover that spreads. So you have to be preparing. If you want them to stay in one nice clump in one area, then I would definitely reconsider planting them, and maybe choose something else like a hosta, something that's a little bit more contained in the area. So beautiful, fragrant, white bell-shaped flowers, nice lush green leaves. Once they are growing, they return for years and years and years. So once you plant them and you get them growing, you have them there for a long time. So that's, for $5, you get 8 of the roots, which are actually called pips. I don't know why they're called pips, but that's what they're called. So they're not a bulb, and they're more similar to a root, but technically a pip. So perhaps I will look up and see why they're called pips and let you guys know next time where that name comes from. The last deal, which I think is one of the best deals in this category, is these globe thistle, which have these really cool, I don't know if you can see, really cool blue, kind of spiky, like a true blue, electric blue flowers. They bloom in summer. They like full sun, they like dry soil, but you get 5 plants in this package for $5. So we usually only sell this in a package of 1, and I believe that they usually sell for at least $7. So getting 5 for only $5 is great deal, and this is one of our more popular items from the category. So if globe thistle is something you like, I would definitely consider ordering, because I do foresee this selling out for sure. Also makes a great cut flower, and just kind of a unique, very unique flower. So if you want something a little bit different, something that's going to stand out, I would definitely pick up a package of this blue globe thistle. And blue flowers are just kind of cool because they're a little bit more rare. So in addition to the shape of the flower color is really cool. So like I said, that's just a little sneak peek of 5 of the items that are in our $5 category. There are 30 plus items. There are more perennials. There's astilbe, there's lilies. There's more specialty bulbs like Mexican shellflower and buttercups and things like that. So I definitely would check it out if you have some garden spots you want to fill in, or you're new to gardening, or you're just addicted to gardening and you can't stop planting flowers. I know that happens. So now that we've talked about the deals, let's get on to the deer and rabbits in your garden. So when I am outside in nature, in a forest, and I see a deer, I'm like, oh, deer, and I get really excited. But that is probably not the same case for you. When you see a deer in your yard, it is probably like, oh, deer, and you're really upset about the deer that is eating your hosta, or destroying your other plants that you've worked so hard on. So I'm fortunate I don't have deer, but I do have bunnies. And I do have squirrels. The bunnies are, I think they, my puppy and my other dog kind of keep the bunnies away, but I have suffered a little bit of damage on my tulips. But I'm pretty fortunate where I am that I don't have deer in my yard. But for a lot of people, I have talked to a lot of customers over the years who really, really have a problem with deer. You know, they're fed up that they have spent their time planting all this stuff and then only to have the deer come and treat their yard like a buffet. So I have some tips on repellents. I have some home remedies for protecting your garden from deer, and I would love to hear your home remedies too. So if you want to leave a comment on ways that you have repelled deer, that would be great. You know, we love sharing gardening secrets and tips and everything. So if there's something you've done that has worked out, you know, leave a comment, let us know what you have done to keep deer away. But I will share some home remedies that I am aware of too. And then lastly, I'm going to let you guys know my top 12 deer-resistant bulbs and perennials that bloom in summer. So these are going to be things that bloom from June till about September. So let's get started with the repellents. So if you are fed up with deer and bunnies destroying all your hard work, there are Liquid Fence is a pet safe, plant safe, and human safe repellent. It's made from all natural ingredients. It does kind of have a smell of garlic and eggs, so note that when you apply it, you may have kind of this strong odor around your yard, but it's not really anything that, you know, it's just kind of stinky. But other than that, it's safe for your pets. So if your dog goes out and he starts chewing on things, he's not going to get sick or anything like that. Or if, you know, you have a little one who, you know, might pick some flowers and, you know, I don't know, put them in their mouth or something. Again, human and pet safe. So we sell this in a couple different ways. There is a granular form, there is a concentrate, and then a ready-to-use spray. So just a little bit about each of these. The ready-to-use spray, I would suggest if you maybe have a small yard or you just want to spot treat a couple things and you want to have something handy that you can just grab the bottle, go out to the garden, spray it on the plants, spray it around the plants. The concentrate covers 6,000 square feet. Now you have to suggest after you know, a good rain that you reapply. So the bottle says to apply it and then a week later apply again and then about 30 days later apply. But if in that time you have, you know, a strong rain that comes in, I would definitely go out and reapply again, especially if the deer seem to be active in your area. And then lastly, this I think is the easiest way to apply the Liquid Fence would be the granular form. You just shake it on around the plants in your area and, you know, it kind of soaks in and the scent keeps the deer away. So if the deer and rabbits are really bad in your area, you may want to consider doing the concentrate and the granular. You know, sprinkling the granular around the mulch and the, you know, the planting area, but then applying the ready-to-use spray or the concentrate directly onto the leaves and flowers of plants. So, yeah, like I said, it's very earth-friendly. It's not going to hurt anyone. It just kind of stinks a little bit. And, you know, we've had a lot of people who have had really great success with using Liquid Fence. One other tip you can do is you can, before you plant certain bulbs, like a tulip, for example, this fall, you can dip your bulbs into the Liquid Fence to prevent like squirrels and rodents from digging them up. That can be somewhat helpful as well. So, so repellents are, you know, definitely a good way to start in the process of keeping deer away from your garden. Another product that we sell is this deer netting. So these are like about 1 inch by 1 inch squares. This is like a mesh plastic. And this is really most helpful for fall planted bulbs, like a tulip, for example. So you want to put this over the planting area, and as your tulips are coming up, they're going to grow with the netting. So like from close up, you would be able to notice the netting, but from far away, you aren't going to see the netting. But the netting definitely prevents the deer from getting in there and eating them. So depending on how bad the deer are in your area, some people have way more deer problems than others. You may need to do a combination of the deer netting for certain plants and then also these repellents. The deer netting might be enough, or one of the repellents might be enough too. So those are some ways that, from our website that you can order any of these products to get them. But I also have some tips for some home remedies for ways to repel deer. And like I said, if you have any tips beyond what I'm going to tell you, leave a comment below. So one of them would be a motion activated sprinkler, so that when the deer are running through your yard, they're set off by motion and then startles the deer and, keeps them away, the water and everything spraying. So if you have that option, that would be one thing to consider. Milorganite, which I'm not sure if Milorganite is available everywhere. I do know that it's actually made in Milwaukee. It's a fertilizer. It's a fairly non-toxic fertilizer. It's actually made from organic materials. And the scent of Milorganite is said to help keep deer away as well. So again, I'm not sure if it's available everywhere. I do know it's available regionally here, but I'm sure you could look into that more if that is something that you are interested in. So you could mix up a mixture of cayenne pepper, garlic, and then a little dish soap. And the dish soap is just to help adhere all the properties of water, cayenne, garlic together, and then spray it on. So the deer don't like the spiciness and the garlic scent. So that is something, if let's say you have been using the liquid fence for a year or two and it worked for the first year or two, but now they've started eating, it's a good idea to switch up your method of repelling the deer. So trying a different spray, like this combination of cayenne, garlic, and soap, is another way to kind of trick them, and hopefully once they've gotten maybe used to this for a little bit, maybe you switch to that and then switch back, and just trying different things to deter them. This is something that I've heard for a long time. We've never tried this myself, but Irish Spring soap, if you're familiar with it. I've heard that you cut the Irish Spring soap up into small pieces and you place them in pantyhose or nylons and hang those in the garden. I am not a deer, so I don't know why deer don't like the Irish Spring soap, but for whatever reason, whatever scent it is about them, definitely, I have heard this from numerous people, that the Irish Spring soap placed throughout their yard definitely deters them. Another way you can use the Irish Spring soap is putting it on like a skewer or a popsicle stick and sticking them in the garden if you don't want to hang the nylons. So, I think Irish Spring soap, I haven't really bought it, but I think it's fairly affordable. So that might be a new creative method to keep the deer out. I know this, I've heard this for vegetable gardens, planting a border of marigold seeds or just buying a flat of marigolds, but planting them around the borders definitely helps to keep bunnies out. It may also help with the deer. So we do sell marigold seeds. They're pretty affordable and they grow pretty well from seed. So if the deer are there, you may want to consider adding some marigolds to your garden and your beds. Another thing I have heard, so this is a compact disc, a CD, is to hang CDs from your trees, using like a fishing line. Apparently the motion and the reflectiveness can deter deer, so that's another thing you can do to keep the deer out. One thing that I have no shortage of is hair, and I have heard that hair from either your pets or from your hairbrush placed in the yard, the scent of humans or animals, placed around the borders can help to deter the deer, to keep them away, because they smell the humans and they think, oh no, there's people here and I'm not going to go eat their stuff right now. So hair placed around your yard can also be helpful. And lastly, and this is really not even a remedy, But if your deer are really bad and they just won't stop, is you may have to consider putting up a fence. So for some people, I understand this is not an option for one reason or another, but if you've tried all of these remedies and the deer just won't stop eating your plants, you may want to look into some sort of fencing system to keep them out. So beyond that, if you've done the fence, the other suggestion I have is to plant things that deer don't like. So I do have a list of my top 12 summer blooming perennials and flowers that deer don't like, but let me first tell you about some plants that deer do like. And if you have a lot of deer or rabbits, I would avoid planting these items. So hosta, deer really like hosta. I don't know if it's the lush green leaves and the water content in the leaves that they like, but I would definitely avoid hosta. Roses, daylilies, tulips, stargazer lilies or fragrant lilies seem to be a favorite. I've heard conflicting reports about the lilies, that they don't like them because they are fragrant, but I've also had talked to customers who have had problems with the lilies. So I would probably avoid the lilies, or if you do plant some lilies, maybe put a fence up around them to kind of, protect them at least when they're blooming. Phlox, if you grow morning glories, the deer tend to like those. Dahlias, they won't always eat, but they kind of like. Arborvitae, it's a shrub or a tree. Sorry, not a shrub. It's a tree, which I know we don't sell, but arborvitae are definitely eaten and a lot of times, can be damaged by deer. Same with roses. Even though they have thorns, you would think that the deer would stay away, but they don't. If they're hungry, they're going to eat. So that's something to keep in mind with these 12 flowers and perennials that deer do not prefer that I'm going to tell you about, is that if a deer is really hungry, it's probably going to eat some things that it wouldn't normally, or at least try them out. So things are deer resistant, but sometimes deer just do what they want to do. So here is the top 12 list of deer resistant flower bulbs and perennials. First on our list is the gladiolus. So gladiolus are really, really popular. Spring planted, summer blooming bulbs. You see them often in floral arrangements. They're really popular at farmers market. If you want to take home, some cut flowers, they bloom in midsummer, like full sun. They're fairly easy to grow. They do require some staking to keep them upright, but deer do not tend to go after gladiolus. So if you're looking for a very colorful, sun-loving flower, I would suggest planting some gladiolus bulbs. On to number 2 would be the buttercups, also known as ranunculus. Sometimes they're sold either way as buttercups or ranunculus. So these summer bloomers have papery flowers that are very popular in either potted plants or cut flowers. And they're, low growing, about 8 to 12 inches, so great for pots. Great for kind of a ground cover. So buttercups are another plant that deer tend to stay away from. So gladiolus, buttercup, and next on the list would be the peony, which we do sell peonies for planting in spring and fall. So either season you can definitely get your peony fix in. Anything you would plant this spring is going to grow this year, but is going to produce a flower next year. So peonies, the deer tend to stay away from. It could be the fragrance. It could be just something, else in the plant that the deer just don't like. So peonies get about 2 to 3 feet tall, huge, fragrant, colorful blooms. They're very nostalgic because they live for about 75 or more years. So if you're like me, I've grown up with peonies my whole life. So when I see them, it just reminds me of my childhood and everything. So very, very popular. Spring blooming, summer blooming, because they're blooming now, which it's June, so it's kind of summer, but I will consider them a summer bloomer because it's summer to me already. So so next on our list is canna lilies, which canna lilies are a tropical looking bulb with wide leaves. They do well in warm climates, so deer are everywhere. No one's really excluded from having deer in their garden. So canna lilies have wide green leaves. They're really big and bold. A lot of people just like the leaves on them. And then come in a variety of warm colors, yellow, orange, red flowers. They like a lot of heat. They like a lot of sun. They like a lot of water, and the deer tend to stay away from them. They're good in pots. You can use them as a screen as well. So canna lilies, another summer blooming favorite that the deer tend to stay away from. And next on the list would be the Siberian iris. Also included in the Siberian iris would be bearded iris, so kind of iris in general. I wanted to talk about the Siberian iris because they should be blooming we're in zone 5. To stay away from the agapanthus, so definitely safe to plant those. And I actually think that we have a 2-pack of agapanthus in the $5 deal category. So if you want to get some agapanthus, if you're worried about the deals, I would definitely check out that $5 category and get some agapanthus planted. Next is a fall planted bulb, but it's a fall planted bulb that blooms in late spring / early summer. So I included it in this list, and that would be allium, which allium are also considered flowering onion. So they don't emit, like if you walk by a patch of allium, that you wouldn't think you were in the onion section of the grocery store, but the leaves and everything, if they are crushed, they do have somewhat of an onion smell to them, which is why I believe the deer don't like them, because they have a garlicky onion smell. So if the deer try to eat them, they're definitely like, nope, this isn't my thing, so I'm going to move on and eat something else. So the allium, they are available for pre-ordering now, and they are planted this fall and would come up next spring. Next on the list is salvia, which I'm going to talk more about salvia in terms of the perennial, not sage, the herb, which is the same thing. It's just kind of the common name. But salvia, like May Night, we sell a pink salvia, a light blue salvia. This also has a scent to the leaves, which the deer tend to like. Easy to grow. They bloom early summer, and once you remove the spent flower heads, they're just going to keep on blooming throughout the summer. So salvia, great perennial, easy to grow, long bloom time, deer resistant. Definitely add it to your list. Yep. And then next on the list, this is another nostalgic favorite that goes right up there with the peonies, which would be the bleeding hearts. It's shade lover. You can plant it in some sun, but they don't last as long. But the bleeding hearts, they come up in spring. They have these pendulous pink flowers that are heart-shaped, and the deer stay away from them. So if you have a shade garden in the back that the deer try to, kind of come in there and eat your hosta and everything, you should probably consider adding some bleeding hearts, just because the deer don't like them, and great for shade. I also think we have some bleeding hearts in the $5 deal category. I believe that there's a 2-pack of bleeding hearts. So, you can get 2 plants for $5 and have some more additional plants in your yard that the deer are going to stay away from. Next on the list are poppies, particularly oriental poppies, which are sold for both fall planting season and spring You know, deer resistant perennial, one thing to note with the poppies is once they're done blooming, they do go dormant, similar to like your tulips going dormant. So if you plant poppies, you want to make sure you have something planted in front of them to fill that void in your garden when the poppies go to sleep for summer. So something to keep in mind. But next is the globe thistle, which I talked about earlier today. And this, it does say thistle, which you may think of the weed, but it's not a weed. It is a desirable perennial, but the leaves on it are kind of spiky like a thistle, which definitely the deer kind of avoid, and the blue flowers are kind of spiky. So globe thistle. Aren't going to eat them in your shade garden. Make sure you stay up on the watering, because if you don't stay up on the watering and they have a day that they kind of dry out, they tend to kind of fizzle out for the rest of the year. So I know this from personal experience, but right now my astilbe are in a great place and looking good. So this list again was in no particular order, so nothing is necessarily better or worse than the others as far as being that deer don't like, but all of these plants you should be able to plant, and the deer should not bother them unless they're like incredibly hungry or something is going on, but they're pretty safe to plant. And if you want more information on these 12 deer resistant perennials and flowers, the blog that's coming out this Friday is actually these top 12 deer resistant flowers and perennials. So I will go into a little bit more depth on, some of the features on them and everything. And then you'll also loves flowers, loves gardening. We're here for you. And if you have any home remedies on deer or rabbit repellents, please comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Beyond that, I hope you all have a great Wednesday. I hope you have lots of fun in the garden this weekend, and that you have good weather your way, no rain, a little sunshine, a little nice breeze, and I will be on my way for the rest of the day, and I will see you in a couple weeks. Bye.